Hey guys, it's Huntin4Games, and last week I announced I was going to be doing a Q&A video for my channel, for me, for whatever you guys wanted to ask me, and I was actually pretty surprised you did in fact ask me questions. Let me just say right now, I really do apologize if I butcher your account name for YouTube. I butcher real names all the time. I say I'm totally wrong. These are account names. Some of them aren't even supposed to be words, they're just letters that are put together followed by numbers and symbols. So I'm really sorry if I totally screwed up. First question isn't really fair because it's from my girlfriend Katie. Who is your favorite bard in all of Final Fantasy XIV? She wants me to say her because she's a bard in Final Fantasy XIV, but I don't actually have another one. You win. Rambina, best bard. All right, from Super Blue Blitz, what made you want to start doing YouTube in the first place? I sort of just woke up one day and I was like, man, I really love to play video games. I wish I could do more with that. And I was looking at some of the options of like, how could I take this another step? And the obvious two first ones out there are YouTube and Twitch. So I actually do have a Twitch account, and I tried it within my first 10 videos. I'm like, I'll do both simultaneously. I'll put out some videos and then I'll Twitch stream, which a lot of people do and are very successful at it. I did some Twitch streaming and I was terrible. I'm really bad at Twitch streaming. I sit there and after 4 minutes of silence, I suddenly remember, I'm like, I haven't said a damn word in 4 minutes. Anyways, back to the actual question of why did I start this YouTube channel. It was because of that. I wanted to take my hobby, I wanted to take it a step further. I wanted to have more that I could do with my love of video games. But also, I used to talk about video games with my friends all the time. And I still talk, they're going to be watching this being like, you still do that. I don't think they remember how bad it was. It was all I talked about. I would just bring it up constantly. I was always looking for more stuff and more things and more people to talk about. And eventually I realized I'm like, I can't, my friends are going insane. I cannot just bury them with these video game conversations all the time. So I really want another outlet and more people to talk to about this stuff. I'm kind of rambling, but point is, I really want to be able to reach out to more people that are also passionate about video games, and specifically the video games that I'm playing, and, just talk about shit. That was originally the idea, and that's it's finally starting to work. A lot of people are getting into some serious discussions on the YouTube videos, and that's awesome. It's what I've been trying to achieve, and I'm really glad to see everybody chatting around and throwing questions at me and stuff. Here's what I'm going to screw up. From iCage.io or Ikageo? Sorry, bud. Without counting Final Fantasy XIV or Final Fantasy XI, what is your favorite Final Fantasy and why? I love this question. I'd love to say that this one is tough for me and I can't really figure out which one I love the most. And I mean, there's a couple that are all forerunners, but 9, Final Fantasy 9, hands down. It was my first Final Fantasy. It got me into the series. I didn't play 7 till much later, and perhaps if I started with that one, that would be the one that I'm speaking about so fondly. But Final Fantasy 9 has everything that I want in a fantasy RPG adventure. It's got airships and magic and insane monsters and these summons that are destroying cities, and it's just this epic scale of a journey. It's so amazing, and the characters are really fun. It's a fun story with these really serious tones and serious events that are happening, but with these characters that are just goofy, and some of them are too goofy, like that blue mage lick-a-tongue thing. I don't even remember her name. What was that? But overall, it was my first, and that's what sticks with you the most. Vivi gave me a full-time future love of black magic and destructive magic in general, and basically shaped how I played any game where I could be a magic user from that point on. And it also, just as a game, showed me, it was the first game that had a story of that scale. It showed me what storytelling in games could be, and I was just blown away by it. So definitely Final Fantasy IX, hands down, no question. I also really like Tactics and Final Fantasy X, but they don't win. Next, from the Viking Gamer Dragon. That's an awesome name. What server do you play on? Odin. I play on Odin. I've said that maybe once or twice, but I realize I don't say it in every video, and I've had a lot of people asking. So I play on the Odin server. I always have. And the follow-up, are you willing to play with some subs? Totally. I've actually had a few people message me so far, just kind of chatting up. We've only done a couple things, kind of small things. The hard part is timing. It's matching up with people's schedules, and that's, as always with any game like this, just it's hard to match up schedules sometimes. But I'm totally willing to play with subs, especially if you're on the Odin server. That makes life a lot easier for me. But yeah, feel free to always message me whenever. Honestly, the biggest problem is going to be that once you meet me in game, you're going to realize the magic's going to be gone. I'm not anywhere near as impressive as the YouTube channel may make me appear, I really don't know much about Final Fantasy these days. I know a ton about Final Fantasy 11 from back in like 2008, but this whole new world I'm shocked. Everybody that has been on the YouTube channel and seen the videos and messaged me has shared with me way more information than I've shared with them. They have instructed me in the ways of this new Final Fantasy 11 that I'm like totally lost in. Just in general though, yeah, definitely. Let's play, let's do stuff. I don't know what to do. It's always my big question with me and my friends is like, what do you want to do? It's like, I don't know, we could kill that Ifrit like 2 times. But message me, we'll figure it out. Be awesome. From Dignut, who is actually a friend of mine in real life, and I was going to ignore his question, but it's a really good question. Who's the strongest Final Fantasy protagonist? I actually met him at work the next day. I was like, dude, that's actually a really interesting question, and you can look at it a bunch of ways. I don't have a great answer for this because I feel like it's a question that's better for somebody more well-versed in Final Fantasy lore in general, that understands on a deeper level like the background of the characters and what they're capable of. But I'm still going to give you an answer. Final Fantasy IX, my favorite Final Fantasy. I think that Princess Garnet, or Dagger, and many of you may disagree with this, is the strongest character in any Final Fantasy game. And I'll tell you why. Her mom starts out, by the way, spoiler alert, stealing all of the summons and using them to basically take over the known world. She's destroying cities, annihilating cities. Some summons, in one move, wipe them out entirely, sucking out all the inhabitants and like destroying all the buildings. They're like the nukes of the Final Fantasy IX world. Summoners of old are like these long forgotten, incredibly mythical people that had power beyond belief. And you can see why. I mean, Leviathan destroyed an entire army. I think it was Atomos, like sucked up that whole city. Bahamut obviously reigned terror all over the place. Point is, by the end of the game, you can or do have most of those summons that her mom was using. And while there's no context in the story where she like unleashes the full power of that upon like civilians, you're always using it against like enemies and stuff. I think in the context of how it was used previously and like what she has access to, that's some crazy amount of power that she's been given in that game. So feel free to disagree with me. I'd love to hear your comments on who you guys think the most powerful protagonist is. Obviously, I mean, Final Fantasy 3, 4, or is it 6? Is that 3 in America? I get really confused about that. But the earlier Final Fantasy games, I'm not as familiar with from a story standpoint. So I don't really know what characters were capable of in those games. Let me know what you think. It's a cool question. Next from Get SLW? Getslu. I'm going to call you Getslu. From Getslu, I was wondering about your setup. Your chair and mic look fantastic together. Thank you. That's awesome. I'm really glad to hear that it looks good. I bought it for really totally different reasons. I didn't even think this chair was going to be seen ever. I got it before I got the whole green screen setup. I wasn't going to be in the videos. This is it's like a $200 chair from IKEA. And I got it purely because of this tall back headrest. I could not find a chair that wasn't super expensive that had a headrest that could fit me. I'm like 6'3", so it's hard to find a chair that goes all the way up there. Super happy about that. It's very comfortable when you lean. It's awesome. Biggest problem with the chair is it's basically hit or miss. All the reviews I've read are like you either love it or you hate it because it's not adjustable in any way. You can't adjust the lumbar support, the height, anything. You can't do much of anything. Okay, I mean height, a little bit, very little. As I was putting it together, I left the armrests off because they just seemed to get in the way. I've been trying to be more ergonomic, especially since starting this YouTube channel, because I'm at a computer more than ever before. But it's a good chair for the price. The mic here is, I guess I could turn around for you, a Rode NT-USB mic. It was actually my second mic. I love this mic. It's got a headphone jack to listen to what it's hearing essentially live. There's no delay, which is super important to me. Only 2 knobs that adjust the volume that you're hearing out of that and the ratio of what you hear, the computer audio that's feeding out versus the mic audio that you're feeding in. You can kind of mix that. It doesn't determine what gets recorded, just what you hear from like a monitoring standpoint. Very useful. Like I said, it was my second mic. The first mic I got, you've probably seen in some of the videos that are on the couch, is a Blue Yeti. I love the Blue Yeti. It's amazing. It sounds so awesome. The problem is, it picks up everything in the house, and that's to its benefit, but I don't have a proper sound setup in this like basement that I'm in, and every tiny little noise was getting picked up. So I needed something that could deal with a little bit, pick up a little bit less range, and this Rode NT-USB has been amazing. I love the look of it. It came with its own pop filter that has been just awesome. And it fit the Rode NT. Actually, is it called the Rode NT? It's the Rode arm mount that I have. Is kind of expensive, but is the best product possibly I've ever bought. It's so good. Shit, I realized that was all turned away while I was talking, so you might not have heard jack shit of that. Anyway, Rode NTSB and $200 chair from IKEA. I sat down shopping in IKEA. I was like, this is the most comfortable chair I've ever sat in. I need this chair. So I went back. Next from Christopher Beakey. Favorite Rainbow Six Siege operator and why? That's a tough one. I've probably played Glaz the most, but I don't think it's my overall favorite. I really like it because it's a really strong operator and you get these amazing kills from like out in the middle of nowhere. Overall favorite is going to be either Thermite, which I think just changes how you can approach a situation. I love Thermite. I love blowing up walls where people think they're safe. Or Mute. Mute jammers can really throw off an offense and force them to use a counter like Thatcher or Twitch, which you can sometimes prevent. If they don't have any of those, entire entries can be prevented. I love Mute Jammer. The new Valkyrie operator with her crazy cameras, I think she's a lot of fun. I'm not very good at using her yet because I get caught on the cameras too often, but I really think she opens up some amazing opportunities for how to set up new defenses. I think she's really cool. Just haven't used her quite enough yet. Next from Comfy Gaming. Seeing your love for online games, I must know, have you ever played Monster Hunter? And if so, what are your thoughts on it? Definitely. Monster Hunter and I have a strange relationship, though. It's a game I've played a lot. I've bought a bunch of the iterations. I always want to have it with me, like on vacations when I go places where I don't have my console. I always get the handheld versions on the 3DS, the DS. I had on the PSP, Monster Hunter United, maybe. Ultimately, though, I'm always missing other people to play with due to either technological constraints. Playing multiplayer on the PSP was a pain in the ass if you have to play online, and all sorts of other problems. And it just makes me less enthusiastic about the grind for crafting materials to get into the new gear and really getting to the ins and outs of various traps and different strategies and just really what you need to learn about the game because it's a very hard game. It's kind of like the Dark Souls of RPGs. Wait, Dark Souls is an RPG. Point is, it's tough. It's easy to get your ass kicked on these long, there's some long boss fights in there, like 45-minute boss fights. And if you die, you're just screwed. They're just stressful. It's a really cool game. I just always manage to buy it, and I want to get into it. I want so bad to love those games, and I never quite managed to start really rolling. Next from Leo Moon. What was your worst gaming experiences in both general gaming and on Final Fantasy XI? Man, worst in gaming. Probably something that I've like totally blocked from memory. Like I'm trying to not even remember it at this point. But did you ever play The Force Unleashed? The part where you have to pull down the Star Destroyer with your force powers you pull it down from orbit. I was playing on normal, and it took me like 10 tries for no reason. You're just like, it's really difficult and annoying, and I don't know why. But my buddy Jim, you've probably heard him actually in a couple of the midweek multiplayer videos and stuff. He played it on how much do you hate yourself, future Sith Lord difficulty, whatever that impossible, stupid difficulty is. And he had to do that part so many times, just over and over and over again. So I'll never get that tear it out of the sky out of my head. It's just like you'd start out the new round and that's when he'd scream at you and then he'd fail and then it would start again. And I'd already done it like 10 times myself. It was just miserable. Worst in Final Fantasy XI? That's even tougher. I mean, Final Fantasy XI had a lot of moments that I was like super let down. I love the game, but it's a difficult game. That's why I love it so much. So there were plenty of moments where I was just like, but I can totally pinpoint one. It was probably when Diablos first came out. I spent all day trying to get a party together to earn him for my summoner. Finally get a group. We get out there and just get wrecked like 3 times in a row. I de-leveled. People had to stop. They had to go to bed. I was trying to get him because he was really good for Sky, and I was working with the Skylink shell, so that night I go to do Sky, and I don't have him, and everybody else has Diablos, and I had Leviathan doing spinning dive, and they're blowing out, like, these amazing, I forget even what the ability, he tossed the ball of energy. It was ranged, my spinning dives would, like, miss, and I was so pissed. Finally went back with, like, 5 black mages I managed to get, and we annihilated him. I was just so pissed. From Iga, I'm assuming it's E-G-A-H, I'm assuming that's Iga. Iga. Alright, here's my question. Can you lick your elbow? Can you show us if you can or can't? Now, I've heard this before, but I don't know if I've ever actually tried. No, no, that's not happening. All right, from Gamera, my question: do you play console games and/or PlayStation indie games? If so, do you have any you recommend? Definitely. I love console games and I love indie games. I've played a ton that have just been totally out of nowhere. Wow, this is way better than a lot of games I've played lately. I'm not sure which count as indie or not, but I'm just gonna throw out a bunch of smaller games. Hopefully, some of them are indie games. Flower and Journey from that game company are just totally unique, cool experiences. I love both those games. They're very different, but I think totally worth like the couple hours it takes to beat both of them. Magica 2 on the PS4. I love Magica 1, but I played it on the PC with mouse and keyboard. They did add a control scheme for that, but I don't know if they released Magica 1 on consoles. Magica 2 is out though, and it's a lot of fun, especially if you have some friends to blow up. A lot of friendly fire there. I had so much fun with Monaco, but I think that's only on the PC. That's the kind of thievery game. A lot of fun if you have a PC that can run it, which is basically all PCs. But I'll keep trying to think of good console ones. From Jake5773, who I've definitely never met before. Has anyone ever told you that you look like Jim Carrey? If so, how does that make you feel? No. No one has ever told me that. No one ever will tell me that.
You liar!
From JWBD Gaming. Oh my god, did I do that right? JWBD? Oh yeah, nice. When you're really getting back into a particular game, let's use Final Fantasy XI as an example, how do you prevent yourself from burning out? Sometimes when there are so many objectives, goals in mind, it can get a bit overwhelming. Totally. That is a huge problem I have in basically all games. Final Fantasy XI is definitely an easier one to use as an example though. Well, for Final Fantasy XI, I used to get burned out constantly. It was basically like once every 2 months, I would suddenly be like, what am I doing? Why this is just over and over again? Which is probably why I had so many jobs leveled. As soon as I would get like tired of progressing, maybe in gear at level 75, like on Thief, I'd go level something else. I have all these jobs at like level 50 to 60 because I like sort of got them. I was like, man, that artifact gear is so cool. I kind of wish I had that job. And I'd go level that, and that made it fresh and exciting and new, and I'd pick up new gear sets, and I'd plan out new gear progressions. And it was really fun for me to always like be switching around between jobs, and it kept things fresh. In other games, I mean, for multiplayer, it totally depends on the people I'm playing with. If I'm playing with friends that like keep things exciting and new, and just we're joking around all the time, it keeps things fresh a lot longer. It's probably the reason I'm still playing Rainbow Six Siege so much. I never would have stuck with it if it was just me and a bunch of people I didn't know. But yeah, I mean, for other MMOs, for other RPGs where there's just like so many objectives, and it's like, how do you prevent that from just wearing on you and just like weighing you down and constantly making you feel like you've just got so much to do, and every time you achieve one thing, it just opens up 10 more things you gotta do. I really try to focus on one objective at a time. And if I really start to get totally annoyed with that objective, I switch to something else. Whether that's switching to like a different gear piece that I'm going to work on, or just a totally different job, or even just taking a step back from the game entirely for a little bit. I know it's not like a great answer, but honestly, switching it up, keeping it fresh for myself is crucial for me to still enjoy playing these games. It's actually been my biggest problem with leveling Final Fantasy XI now and trying to gear up a single job is that I spent a whole week on Blue Mage, and I'm like, maybe I should go level that, because that's how I used to play. I would switch between jobs constantly, and it kept things fresh and new. Gameplay was totally different every time I logged in. I think it's super important, but that's just how I play. A lot of people stick with one job and never change, but most of the time, if you ever see me do that in an MMO, it means I'm not going to play that MMO for that long, and I probably don't really love the game. Not everybody's like that though. A lot of people just stick with one character and that's it. I mean, not just one character, but one class, and they just nail it. Next from Matthew Smith, which quest, mission, fight in which expansion on Final Fantasy XI has been the most memorable in the whole time you've played? Can include newer fights that you've just gone back to do, and why was it the most memorable? Whew, there's a lot. There are a few fights that are like group fights that kind of come to mind. The Fenrir fight, Tenzin fight in Chains of Bermathia, Shadowlord fight, all those quest missions that were super tough at the time, and just like really beating them was like a serious achievement. You were just like, hell yeah, that was really freaking hard, and I did it. I freaking won. But for me, the most memorable fight, hands down, most memorable fight, hands down, is the level 20 Avatar battle against Rama. And I say Rama because he was the first one I finally managed to kill. I decided I wanted to level Summoner because it seemed like the coolest, most unique job in the entire game. I was like, these giant, amazing avatars follow you around. You get them to do stuff. This Carbuncle looks amazing. And then I got it, and I realized kind of how it worked. I had Carbuncle. I had none of the other avatars. And I looked up how I was going to get him. I'm like, crap, I can't even get him to level 20. And then there are going to be these hard fights that I'll have to figure out. But I was like, I love this job. I have to figure it out. So I leveled to 20 through all the way through the dunes with just Carby. And then I realized that I had like no money. Like back then I just started playing the game. I literally had no money or any kind of income at all. And there was really only 2 ways to beat the level 20 avatar battles. And both involved using your 2 hours. So you really only got 1, maybe 2 shots a day waiting in between these 2-hour cooldowns. On top of that, to even get to the fight, you had to have like level 3 or 5 fame. It might have been 3, the lowest tier that really mattered, which isn't a big deal, but you had to do a certain number of quests in each of the starting cities to get that level of fame. And when you first start out, you're like, man, I've got to do all these quests just so I can do that quest. It was just a lot. And by the time I finally got to the fight, I was like, all right, let's do this. And I barely had enough money, so there were 2 ways you could do it. You could run in with 2 ethers and a Yagudo potion. 2 hour. Use Searing Light from Carbuncle. Run away. Ether. Carbuncle would die. By then it should have, hopefully the cooldown's there. It might not be yet though. Summon a new Carbuncle who will auto attack the avatar. Use Searing Light again if it's ready. If it's not, you might have to run around, but you got to get 3 of them off, and that was the key. So use it again, run back up, use another Ether, come back up, rinse and repeat the 3rd time. Hopefully you manage to take him down. Problem was, I know it sounds dumb now, but Ethers and Yagudo potions back then were expensive. Yagudo drinks. It was Yagudo drink. Yagudo drink. The Yagudo drinks and Ethers were expensive for somebody who had no money. It was like all the money I had for like 2 tries, and I lost. So I was like, all right, well, crap, how else can I do this? So I looked it up, and there was another way you could do it with the cheaper, like an orange juice, which didn't last as long, but it was sort of just as good, and a Mulsum, which was like a shitty ether. So the problem with that was it wasn't enough for you to just have enough MP to fire off another Searing Light, but it was almost enough. So what you had to do was Carby kite him back and forth for like 5 to 8 minutes without any issue. And if you got hit like twice, you were done, because the avatars were just like way stronger than your little Taru body, well, my Taru body ever would be. You kite him back and forth for like 5 to 8 minutes until you got him down to like halfway health, and then you do the same strategy of the Searing Light, but you can only get off 2 because you don't have the expensive ethers. You Carby kite him for like 5 to 8 minutes until he's at halfway point of health, and then the same strategy with the Searing Lights, but you could only get off 2 because you're using Mulsums instead of ethers and the shitty potions, which was all way cheaper, but it was a much more dangerous strategy because it involved you Carby kiting for a much more significant amount of time and gathering hate over that whole process, because every time you'd summon a new Carbuncle and use a blood pact, it was like a little bit of hate. Basically, I just kept losing. Shiva's paralyzed would sometimes totally screw me. Rama would paralyze me with freaking Thunderspark. That was miserable. I just died a bunch of times. They were all so hard. And then this one night, it just all came together. I remember it was really uncomfortable because, like, my parents came up, my grandfather came to visit. It was one of those situations where you're playing an MMO and you need like 5 more minutes, but your parents don't realize that. And they just all came into the room to hang out. And I'm like still Carby kiting Rama. And I was like, I don't know, like 14. I was like, you gotta wait a minute. I gotta do this. So I won. That was the time I won. I finally managed to kill my first avatar. I went out and summoned him. I was like, holy shit. My parents were like, what are you so excited about? I was like, oh my God. I'll never forget those avatar battles. They were just incredible. I always thought it was like a real like mark of a true summoner if you did the 20 avatar battles. Not because the level 65 avatar battles were easy. They were really hard, but you had to have 6 people there. You had to have a full party. Whereas the solos, it was just you and Carbuncle. It seemed right. Man, long answer. Anyways. Oh, I'm going to butcher this one. From Arcana. So my question to you is, in your opinion, is there any MMO out there that you feel gives its players a great sense of adventure and accomplishment with its current content? And as a side question, was there any items, side quests, or crafts that you kind of just ended up giving up on just before you quit the game? Good question. Adventure and accomplishment. This has been my biggest problem is I feel like a lot of games kind of fail that sense of adventure. You kind of quickly start seeing through there's just sort of a hamster on a hamster wheel grind situation. I do think that there are a couple games that do a really good job at that, but not so much as the MMO. Star Wars The Old Republic has an amazing sense of grand, epic, space Star Wars adventure. It just doesn't have a lot of multiplayer. But it is a really cool game, and it's free right now, so you can check that out. Final Fantasy XI, I also think, definitely achieves that. It's an amazing game, but you might have already played it, or it's kind of old and you might not really have any interest. I wouldn't really play it. Final Fantasy XIV does have a great sense of adventure. The artwork, the design of the areas, it's all very beautiful, and you're constantly just like, wow, like where am I? But eventually it does kind of turn into this end game grind, and it kind of kills that sense of adventure. Also, I feel the biggest failure of that game is failure to give meaningful reason to explore the areas once you've done quests in an area, you've kind of moved on. There's not really a huge reason to go back unless one of your new quests drives you there. And I think that's a shame because they've built this amazing world, this amazing lore and backstory and all this incredible artwork, and then there's never really any reason to go back to any of it. The hunts don't count, especially with how quickly they end. But overall, I think for a while it really introduces a great sense of like story and adventure and accomplishment as you finally like achieve things along the storyline. One of my bigger problems was I never really got that feeling from like Elder Scrolls Online. I never felt like I was all that important or that any of my choices really mattered in a game that's supposed to offer you incredible choice. Black Desert Online does have a great sense of like exploration, but adventure and accomplishment, I never really felt like I was doing anything on a grander scale. I felt sort of like I was just trying to get rich, if that makes sense. I had side quests or crafts that you just kind of ended up giving up on right before I quit the game. In Final Fantasy XI, totally. Abyssea gear upgrades. I was doing this, I was trying to get my thief upgraded, and I was like kind of going out a couple times a day, trying to get the pop item, popping one of the things, trying to get the 8 pieces that I would need to upgrade the gear to make it decent gear. And then one day I went out and I did it 4 times in a row and like didn't get the drop like 4 times in a row. And I think it's actually what made me quit. I already hated Abyssea. I hated the whole system. I hate how like it made you so powerful in Abyssea that you never wanted to be out of Abyssea because of how stupidly slow and boring that was at the time. And I just hated the gear upgrade process. I hated how particular it had become. There were never any cool like single time drops that I felt like I was getting until I already had all the cool gear. I don't know. I just stopped. I stopped playing. Last one from NairB687. You have to cook a dinner for an important guest that you want to impress. What do you make? That's a tough one. If I'm looking for one person, I try to do a fancy steak. I'm not that great at grilling steak, but I try to make a really good sauce. I get a little like some mushrooms, some red wine. I had a couple of good recipes for like a good mushroom sauce that you pour onto the steak. And then I like bake some asparagus with it and maybe a little mashed potatoes. The trick is to have the 3 things. You need the main meal, maybe a vegetable, and then another side. Because you prepared 3 things now. You surprise them. Plus the sauce that was clearly prepared. Nah, I'm just kidding. I mean, that's totally what I made. I like that. If I have to cook for a lot of people, I love to make lasagna. Lasagna is one of those things that if you have a good recipe, it's kind of hard to screw it up, but it can be really delicious. So you can impress like a whole room of people and be like, look at this amazing lasagna I've made. It's only made of like 4 ingredients, but it's delicious. You could make it in an hour yourself. 49 minutes of which is cook time. Both are great. I love to make good breakfasts. I used to be really good at pancakes. I've gotten kind of lazy. I haven't cooked pancakes in a while. Anyway, guys, shit, this is going to be like the longest video ever. Thank you so much again for all the amazing support. I would not be here at 1,000 subs without you guys. Because that's what we're doing the videos, because the 1,000 subs mark. Oh, wait, shit. 1 second. So my girlfriend got me this. How can I show this to you without the reflection? It's like a 1,000 bronze, 1,000 subs bronze award. Because I didn't know this. At 100,000 subs, YouTube will send you a silver version of this. And then a gold at 1 million, and a diamond at 10 million. They give you these awards. They're just like, thank you for, you know, making our channel great, or making our website great. Katie made me a bronze one, which they don't do, but we can pretend they do. Just awesome. I'm so happy about it. Anyway, seriously, thank you guys so much for the support and the amazing questions. I had a ton of fun making this video, even though it might be like really long. I hope that answers all your questions. Always feel free to ask me any more questions. You can message me, comment on the videos, do whatever to reach out to me, and I'll be happy to answer them. If you really enjoy doing these kind of videos, I'm happy to do more. Answering your questions is easy. But again, thank you guys. 1,000 subs. I can't believe it. Spread the word. Tell all your friends. Tell your family, your brother, your sister, your wife, your girlfriend, that person down the street that's kind of weird. Tell them all. I really hope to keep going, making this more and more, and get more and more time that I can spend doing this, because it's just so much fun. It's amazing, and I love doing it. So thank you guys again so much for all your support, and thanks for watching.